Hello. So I just decided to kind of slow down. I've got these goals of doing these major scales on the bass for like 12 weeks. And like the whole point was to like find out what I wanted to do with it. So I kept getting like more detailed in the goals. I made some good accomplishments. I'm much better at the major scales than I was before. But I'm not sure if I have time for everything in the entire world this year. And this last year, I did not have enough egg sacs to leave them alone, I guess. So I had 2 egg sacs. One of them was good. And I decided to take that one good egg sac and incubate it. Totally the wrong decision. There was one bag egg in it, but ultimately my incubating skills were not what they've been before. I thought I had a really good incubator, but it just didn't work out. And it may have been an unfertilized egg sac too, but I don't feel like it was like that. I feel like this tarantula did a really good job, and it kind of did her dirty by taking her egg sac out too early. I feel like the heater in the bathroom situation wasn't what I did like years ago. I don't know how. I got worse somehow at it, but it could just be that the numbers weren't there too. Because I feel like the last time that I did this and I had like the 700 babies, I was also playing at a symphony, traveling to Mexico, working in a new job, going to school online at the same time. It may have even been social somewhat. So this year, yeah, it was. I have like, I'm on a different side of town. And so work is a lot further than it's ever been. So there was an extra like hour. It was hour and a half of travel where it used to be, I think, like maybe 20 minutes of travel when I originally was working at my first location where I was at with the other job. And now I'm going into over 2 hours of travel every day to and from work is a new concept. So just that alone, like for me, is intimidating. My scoliosis has possibly gotten to the point where it's affected my ribs and maybe even my shoulders. I think I had a sleeping issue last night where my shoulder was really not great. Today it's okay. Like that right there is a little bit painful. Don't do that if it hurts, right? So I'm just trying to like see like where I'm at with everything. So I was just looking in one of the breeding tanks to make sure I didn't see a bolus of a male. Right now I have 4 breeding projects going on. One is going to have to be either in in-state sales because it's a Sri Lankan Postalitharia. And then the other 3 are, one is a male that's over a year old. The other 2 are fresh males. And as soon as I saw a sperm web and any indication that they were like ready to eat, move around, I went ahead and put the females in there. Gave the females at least 24 hours and then released them. So probably right after this video, as long as the lightning is not really too intense or here at all, actually, I'll go ahead and switch out the females so that make sure that they we have a chance to get all these ladies out there. These ladies need to keep getting checked down here now because of, if you saw, I organized them so that we have ladies, female, mature females, ready for. Sorry, I think that we just had a bunch of dust come through, and I think some allergies just kind of hit me. I just want to make sure that I'm checking them to make sure that when they get their molts, I have their molts marked so that I can make them ready to be paired as soon as they're ready. And that seems to be about a month is a good number. But again, these males are like ready in like a week. So because I have so many of these females to go through at this point, even 3 at a time with like 3 days each, I'm talking like, okay, so like 3, 6, 9, 12. So 36 days. So that's a month, more than a month of pairing. And I'd like to get all the egg sacs out at once. So, even if it's like off by a few days, really the pairing season is like all at once. And then as soon as I'm done with that, there's these days ladies down here. So then we're talking like, can I get some 5-month egg sacs? And I can, but I don't know. I'm not going to do anything but keep them all in like a universal temperature setting too. So the task is really at hand. How do I make sure, first and foremost, starting from the ground up, that I have a good foundation with the dubia? So they're going to need to be really my primary feeding source, with the Madagascar hissers being the extra feeding source. And I took 3 females out of the roach tank and put them together in a smaller tank. And I'm just focusing on feeding them because I'd like to make sure that I have some Madagascar hissers that are not in the dubia tank, the combination tank actually, because they don't seem to be. I'm not seeing a bunch of babies everywhere, but I have at one point seen a female in. I tried to put a female roach in one of these tanks, and immediately once the babies were out, she was eating them. So and these 3 might be doing that right now. They seemed like they were kind of large. So it seems like they could be gravid right now. And what I could do is maybe even just as soon as I see like one had a litter, just kind of pull them all out, and then they'll be easier to take care of than the dubia that I put in the gecko tank. And there's a Mediterranean gecko that is non-indigenous. So it's perfectly fine as a pet. Another non-indigenous creature, which I got as a pet, which is a snail that was on a strawberry plant. Since I'm going into a STEM school this next year, they're a perfectly great combination of pets. They've got a good lock on them. So I think I want to be bringing those into the class as the classroom pets. Nobody can touch them because that gecko will run. It's not a domestic gecko at all. It doesn't like to be domesticated. It doesn't want to be domesticated. It has like the tip of its tail missing because it did get out and just pandemonium happened. But it's got a really nice fine mesh lid tank. I can give it bean beetles, which I have way too many of, and it has a whole litter of dubia in there, which I'm feeding water to via the cucumbers that I'm giving to the snail. And we can try to remember to, that taking care of them will remind me to take care of the other roaches at home, hopefully. Eating apples is something that is a good source of fiber for me at school, and just in general is a nice snack. So I can bring little bags to school, so I have apple cores that I can take home and then feed them to the roaches. And that way I know that they've got a consistent amount of water so that they're not pining for fluids from then eating again. They're young. I have fish flakes that I have in mass bulk, so that I don't have to purchase any more fish flakes probably for the entire year. The only problem, I still have these like uh, fuzzy grubs and beetles that are just walk into the fish flakes, and they seem to make the food unappetizing for the dubia. What I also have not been doing that I used to do was feed uh, like use a coffee grinder and make a makeshift food for them with like dollar store dog food, like super cheap, so it doesn't have calcium in it because the tarantulas don't need calcium. They don't need it. It's not like a lizard that needs it for their skeleton inside. They don't need calcium for their exoskeletons. My understanding anyway. So the cheaper the dog food, the better. And so dollar store dog food's like perfect. And then I think cat food has too much protein in it, but I do have some less expensive cat food with the kibble that I'm giving my cats right now. And then they're like the male, I don't want him to get a bladder infection. So he's got supplementary wet food too, just to make sure that he's got fluid in him. So that's the cats and how they kind of figure into the whole scheme of things, because like their kibble could be incorporated into this, but that would mean I need to get a coffee grinder. Um, so after I've got the dubia together, have good numbers for them. I just need to make sure that the females are being fed first, that everybody's being fed. I don't have any tiny tarantulas at all, so I don't need to worry about frequent feedings, which is nice. Everybody's over a year old at this point, and that means that I have juvies up through adults, and the majority of everything in the collection really is mature adult females, um, and that's in the 30s right now. So the cool thing is I'm almost through the molting season, at least halfway through with these guys. And that's really the when I consider to be a molting season for those guys. They might molt like twice a year, the smaller ones. And the Poecilotherum annata have two mature males already. One of them had a bad molt, and I'd like to just keep him comfortable as much as possible. So I'm going to try to see if I can give him some mush somehow. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that. I have some baby syringes from my past coworker. She adopted her grandson, and just gave me some cool supplies at the end of the year. And nobody knows that I haven't explicitly talked to everybody yet. I need to send some text messages to let everybody know that I'm not coming in next week, um, which is really sad actually. But you know, we all get older, and we'll have to do things in our life in order to make sure that we're okay, especially if we're on our own, like myself. I do have family here, but they're encouraging me to be an independent woman, and so I, as much as I am happy to be here, I know that there's just they're not trying to kick me out at all. Love me, um, but there's been family here before, and I I don't want to overstay my welcome if that's really like something that might be too polite to say. And they're very polite people. They're very sweet people, and I'm trying to be a gracious person myself, which is always important, I think, in everything in life, not just my teaching job and tarantulas, but just in family and everything. Um, I'm getting too philosophical though, but it's an exciting year, and I just want to make sure that I've got the game plan. I think the apple core is, as silly as it sounds, is going to be kind of key for just making sure that I'm on top of reminding myself to get back to here. I don't know if we'll be making videos every day either, just because they can take a little bit of time. And I think I'm focused a little bit too much on trying to make a show as opposed to just getting in here and like looking and focusing on what I need to be over here as opposed to up here. But if I find some value in this video series, then I'll do that. If not, it's been helpful for me to organize my thoughts out loud on video, and I may not even keep these up here for you guys to see later, just because I have other things I need to focus on, and I don't want to be worried about what media I have available for the public. But hope you're well, and hope you're organized and doing the best you can in your life. Most importantly, that you're living. So have a good night wherever you are. Take care. Hey, bunnies.